take the continuity of government issue very seriously. We take every threat seriously. This is serious business, and we take it seriously.
Because you know, with George W. Bush, the words are just words, but the awkward pauses, that's where the music is.
President Bush took a much-needed break from his month-long Texas vacation with a 2-day sub-vacation in the Rockies.
The old days of mistrust, aiming missiles at each other, have got to end. The Cold War is over.
The crowd used a time machine to go back and surprise themselves on no f***ing day.
I know he's not stupid, but
he's not.
Some accuse us both of not being able to speak the language.
He's from a foreign country, sir.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. Can I interrupt here for a second? You're the leader of the free world. We don't need to see your stimulus package. Today he visited Goree Island, the principal depot for the slave trade in the 18th century. But he still managed to find slavery's silver lining.
The very people traded into slavery helped to set America free. Africans have overcome the arrogance of colonial powers.
At that point, the crowd responded, that's really great. Did you bring any money? President Bush has been deeply inconvenienced by church-state separation. He's introduced his faith-based initiatives.
Because government cannot put hope in people's hearts or a sense of purpose in people's lives.
The evidence of that is over my shoulder. Look at me.
Members of Congress, distinguished citizens, and fellow citizens.
Kind of sucky citizens, Democrats.
With a new national commitment, our scientists and engineers will overcome obstacles to taking these cars from laboratory to showroom.
Those obstacles? His administration. President Bush continues to face scrutiny concerning his service. This week, the White House released documents it claims validates the president's service. That is proof positive that the president was Flurm Bat 2318 Gibble.
What it is ain't exactly clear.
The Patriot Act. Jobs are on the rise. Tax cuts.
You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear he's a divider. He explained the rationale behind choosing someone so inexperienced.
I actually listened to the senators, and one of the most interesting ideas I heard was, why don't you pick somebody who hasn't been a judge?
I don't think he's trying to not be made fun of anymore. I think he knows, as he says them, he's just teeing him up. President Bush refused to hand over any documents pertaining to conversations Harriet Miers had with the president.
That would make it impossible for me and other presidents to be able to make sound decisions.
Yes, we can't have you not making sound decisions. Which Bush would come out to address this growing scandal? Would it be reflective Bush?
The situation in Iraq is unacceptable to the American people.
Playful Bush, joshing with a blind person.
Peter, you going to ask that question with those shades on? For the viewers, there's no sun.
I guess it depends on your perspective.
Or perhaps would dickish Bush make an appearance?
My administration has made a very reasonable proposal, a reasonable solution to the issue. I proposed a reasonable way to avoid an impasse. I put forth a reasonable proposal. The rejection of this reasonable proposal.
He makes a strong case. Congress can interview Karl Rove and Harriet Miers, but only in private and not under oath. While that may seem unreasonable, the president assures you, of course, it is not. The White House's response to Katrina can best be filed under job, heckova. But on Monday, President Bush will use an overnight stay in the Big Easy to emphasize the $110 billion worth of federal assistance he helped secure for the region. But suddenly, in the midst of the non-sequitur love fest.
Recently, $12.7 billion was cut from education.
Code yellow. Eagle is under attack. Code yellow.
We don't think we've actually, for higher education, I'm satisfied with the people I've surrounded myself with. We've been a remarkably stable administration.
Many Republicans have urged the president to bring in a fresh face, an outsider with new ideas and a fresh perspective.
But I'm the decider, and I decide what is best, and what's best is for Don Rumsfeld to remain as the Secretary of Defense.
The decider.
Mr. President.
What about the levees?
The levees will hold.
I say we do nothing.
Wow, he's always wrong.
But he sure is decisive.
Today, President Bush vetoed a bill approved by the Senate that would have expanded federal funding for stem cell research.
This bill would support the taking of innocent human life in the hope of finding medical benefits for others. It crosses a moral boundary.
And after 5.5 years of my presidency, it's really the only moral boundary left to cross. There's Bush walking over to Angela Merkel. He's rubbing her neck. The Chancellor of Germany disengaged herself from the President of the United States using a move she learned in date rape prevention class. She's our first meta-president.
When you see her literacy, we want to do something about it.
You don't have to tell us the reason you're there! You really think there's some dude in the back wondering, who the f*** invited this guy?
The reason I'm here is because I want the country to pay attention to what you're doing.
Mission described. Now, don't boo.
Children do learn.
Oh, does they? I have a full staff of very talented writers and producers working for me, and we don't need your charity. She single-handedly wiped the Iraqi carnage from the airwaves.
President Bush getting his groove on.
Look at him. Oh, it's so tragic.
You know, you get the feeling that they're trying to distract us.
There is going to come a day when everyone here is going to need keen observation and wit to ridicule you.
President Bush has actually done a lot of good for Africa. Good. He's done a lot of good.
You did say good.
Oh, I kept saying bad in rehearsal. It's force of habit, I suppose.
I'm the decider. I decide when the oboe comes in. That's right. He loves that song! Oh, Bush impression. I'll miss you the most.